My wife cheated at a bachelorette party in Miami. Then I found a secret that changed everything. Hey Reddit, I need to get this off my chest. I don't even know where to begin, but here goes nothing. So, I'm Ryan, 34, and my wife Emily, 32, just came back from this bachelorette party trip in Miami with her friends. Before she left, everything was fine, but ever since she got back, things have been weird. At first, I thought it was just the usual post-vacation tiredness, but it's been almost a week now, and she's still acting distant. She's glued to her phone more than usual, and when I ask her about the trip, she just gives me short, vague answers. The other night, I noticed she kept turning her phone away from me, hiding the screen whenever she was texting. I didn't say anything, but it gave me that sinking feeling in my gut, like something's off. And here's the kicker, she's been avoiding intimacy too. She used to cuddle up with me every night, but now she says she's too tired or not in the mood. I can't shake this feeling that something happened in Miami. Then, last night, I found something. It was a receipt from a tattoo parlor in Miami, one I hadn't seen before. I confronted her about it, trying to stay calm. She looked surprised but quickly said, "Oh yeah, I got a little tattoo with the girls. No big deal." That's when she lifted her shirt just enough to show a small heart tattoo on her hip. But what really caught my eye was the letter inside it, a tiny bar. I asked her what the ARG stood for, and she got all nervous, saying it was just random, that it didn't mean anything. But I know better. Something's not adding up. Why would she get a random letter tattooed while she was on a bachelorette trip? I didn't push it further at that moment, but now I'm left wondering what the hell is going on. Am I overreacting? Or is my gut trying to tell me something? I don't know what to think anymore. I'll update when I figure this out. So, after that weird conversation about the tattoo, I couldn't stop thinking about it. It's like a bad itch that won't go away. I tried to let it go, but the more I thought about the ARG in the tattoo, the more suspicious I got. It just didn't sit right with me, so I decided to dig a little deeper. Emily's best friend Natalie was also on that Miami trip. Now, Natalie and I aren't super close, but we've always gotten along fine. So, I figured maybe she could fill in some blanks. I texted her, casually asking how the trip went and if Emily had fun. She was friendly at first, but as soon as I brought up the tattoo, she went quiet for a minute. Then she said something like, "Oh yeah, we all got pretty drunk that night." Emily was, a little wilder than usual. I pressed her a bit more, and that's when she got defensive. She said, "Look, Ryan, it was just a fun night. You know how these things go. No one did anything crazy." But I could hear it in her voice, she was nervous. I wasn't getting the full story, and now I'm even more convinced something happened. At this point, I didn't know if I should confront Emily again or let it slide, but it's hard when you feel like you're living with a stranger. She's been distant, and I'm starting to feel like there's a wall between us that wasn't there before. Later that night, I tried to talk to Emily again, asking her to be honest with me. She got annoyed and said, "You're making a big deal out of nothing? It's just a tattoo. Drop it, okay?" But her reaction only made me more suspicious. It felt like she was hiding something, and I could see she was getting flustered. I don't know, Reddit. Maybe I'm just paranoid, but I can't shake the feeling that she's lying to me. That little garg tattoo has my mind spinning in all the wrong directions. What do you guys think? Should I keep pushing for the truth, or am I reading too much into this? Alright, so things escalated. I couldn't just sit there and let this eat me up, so I decided to take matters into my own hands. Emily was in the shower, and her phone was sitting right there on the nightstand. I've never been the type to snoop, but something told me I needed to check. I hesitated for a minute, thinking about how much this could mess things up, but then I unlocked her phone. I knew her passcode, it wasn't like she ever tried to hide it from me before. Funny how things change. At first, I didn't find much, just her usual group chat with her girlfriends, talking about random stuff, nothing out of the ordinary. But then I came across a text from someone named Megan, and that's when everything shifted. The message read, "I want to meet you again." My heart sank. Who the hell is Megan? And what does she mean by again? My mind immediately went to the worst possible conclusion. I scrolled up to see the rest of the conversation, but most of it was vague, like they were being careful not to say too much. But it was clear that they had met during the Miami trip, and Emily was the one who reached out first. By the time Emily got out of the shower, I was fuming. I couldn't keep it in anymore. I held up her phone and asked, "Who's Megan? And why is she talking about meeting you again?" She froze, her face going pale like she had been caught red-handed. She stammered something about how Megan was just a girl they met in Miami, and they were all just hanging out. But I wasn't buying it. "You're lying to me, Emily," I said, trying to keep my voice steady even though I felt like I was about to explode. "What really happened in Miami? Why did you get that tattoo? And don't tell me it was random. I'm not an idiot." She got defensive, accusing me of invading her privacy, saying I was blowing things out of proportion. But the more she tried to spin it, the more obvious it became that she was hiding something. I wasn't going to let her gaslight me into thinking I was crazy. I didn't get any clear answers that night. She ended up storming out of the room, calling me paranoid, but I know there's more to this. That text from Megan is proof. Something happened in Miami, and Emily's doing everything she can to cover it up. Now I don't know where we stand. I love her, but I can't ignore this gut feeling that I'm being lied to. What would you guys do if you were in my shoes? The next day, Emily acted like nothing had happened. She was being extra nice, making breakfast, asking about my day, but I could tell it was all an act. It's like she was trying to smooth things over without actually addressing anything. Meanwhile, I couldn't stop thinking about that text from Megan and how Emily completely avoided giving me a straight answer. I decided to dig deeper. I knew that if I was going to get the truth, I couldn't just rely on Emily telling me. So, I reached out to Natalie again. This time, I wasn't going to beat around the bush. I called her and went straight for it. "Natalie, I know something happened in Miami. Emily's not being honest with me, and I need to know what's going on. Please, just tell me the truth." At first, she played dumb, saying, "Ryan, I really don't know what you're talking about. It was just a fun trip." But I wasn't buying it. I pressed her harder, telling her about the text from Megan, the tattoo, all of it. That's when she cracked. "Okay, fine," Natalie sighed. "Yes, Emily met someone in Miami. It was just a fling, Ryan. It didn't mean anything. She was drunk and things got out of hand." Hearing those words felt like a punch to the gut. My heart was racing and I could barely keep my voice steady. "What do you mean a fling? What happened exactly?" Natalie hesitated for a moment, then said, "They hooked up, all right? It wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. Emily didn't want to tell you because she thought it would ruin everything between you two." I was in shock. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This whole time, Emily had been lying to my face, making me feel like I was crazy for suspecting something. And now I find out she cheated on me during that trip? I hung up the phone without saying another word. I felt numb, like the ground had just been ripped out from under me. All the little signs, the distance, the secrecy, the tattoo, they all made sense now. I didn't know what to do next. Should I confront Emily again? Should I pack my bags and leave? My mind was racing with a million thoughts, but none of them felt like the right answer. I just knew one thing for sure, my marriage was not what I thought it was anymore. That night, I could barely look at Emily. Every time she walked by, all I could think about was her with someone else. I replayed what Natalie told me over and over in my head. I wanted to scream, but I stayed silent, trying to figure out my next move. I needed more than just Natalie's word. I needed confirmation, something concrete. I waited until Emily was asleep and I grabbed her phone again. This time, I wasn't just looking for vague texts, I was digging deeper. I opened her messages, scrolled through her contacts, and then I found it. There was a chat with a name I hadn't noticed before, Matt Speechballoon. The conversation wasn't long, but it was enough. They had met at a club in Miami, exchanged numbers, and hooked up the night before she came home. There it was, in plain text, Matt saying, "Last night was amazing. Let me know if you're ever back in Miami." And her response? "It was fun, but we can't talk anymore. I'm married." I stared at the screen, feeling my heart shatter. She knew it was wrong. She knew it would destroy me, but she did it anyway. And all this time, she was lying to my face, trying to make me feel like I was overreacting. I didn't sleep at all that night. I just laid there next to her, my mind spinning with anger, betrayal, and confusion. How could she do this to us? How could she look me in the eye and act like everything was fine? By morning, I was done being quiet. I couldn't hold it in any longer. As soon as we were both awake, I sat her down and confronted her. I know about Matt. I know what you did in Miami. Stop lying to me. Her face went pale, and she didn't even try to deny it this time. She just sat there staring at the floor like she had nothing left to say. I was going to tell you, she muttered. I just didn't know how. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You were going to tell me? When? After I had to drag the truth out of you? After I found the messages and heard it from your friend? Do you even realize how much this hurts? She started crying, saying she was sorry, that it was a mistake, that she didn't want to lose me. But at that point, her tears didn't mean anything. The damage was already done. I walked out of the room, slamming the door behind me, because if I stayed any longer, I would have said things I couldn't take back. I needed space to think. I needed to figure out what the hell I was going to do next. After I walked out, I drove around for hours, trying to clear my head, but no matter where I went, the betrayal kept replaying in my mind. I thought about the last few years, everything we had been through, the life we built together, and now it was all shattered because of one night. I kept asking myself, how did we get here? When I finally came home, Emily was sitting on the couch, looking like a wreck. Her eyes were red and puffy from crying, but I didn't care. She tried to talk to me, saying, "Please, Ryan, we can fix this." It didn't mean anything. I love you, not him. But I wasn't in the mood for her apologies. You don't get it, do you? I snapped. It's not about whether it meant something with him. It's about the fact that you lied to me, cheated on me, and made me feel like I was crazy for even suspecting something was wrong. She was sobbing now, trying to explain herself, saying she was drunk, that it was a mistake, that she didn't know what she was thinking. I was out of my mind that night, Ryan. I didn't want this to happen. I shook my head, feeling a mix of anger and disgust. Drunk or not, you made a choice, Emily. You made a choice to betray me and then hide it. And now I'm supposed to just forgive you because you're sorry? I can't do that. She begged me to give her another chance, saying she would do anything to fix it, that she would go to counseling, whatever it took. But in that moment, I didn't even know if there was anything left to fix. I told her I needed space, that I couldn't even look at her right now. She asked if I was leaving, and I just nodded, grabbing my keys again and walking out the door without another word. I needed time to think, to figure out if I could even stay in this marriage after what she did. I ended up crashing at a friend's place that night. I didn't tell him the full story, just that Emily and I were having problems. He didn't pry, thankfully, but the silence was killing me. I kept replaying everything, her lies, the text messages, Natalie's confession, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. Part of me wants to just walk away and never look back, but another part of me, the part that still loves her, keeps wondering if we can actually work through this. I don't know. I'm torn, and I hate that she's put me in this position. After spending the night at my friend's place, I woke up feeling completely drained. I didn't have the energy to face any of this, but I knew I couldn't hide out forever. Emily had sent me a few texts throughout the night, saying she was sorry, that she didn't know what to do without me, but I couldn't even bring myself to respond. I went back home that afternoon, figuring I had to at least talk to her, but when I walked in, the house felt off. Quiet. Too quiet. I called out for Emily, but there was no answer. I checked the bedroom and noticed her suitcase was missing, along with some of her clothes. On the kitchen counter was a note, written in her shaky handwriting. Ryan. I'm staying with Natalie for a few days. I'm giving you the space you asked for. I know I hurt you, and I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but I'm not giving up on us. I'll give you time to think, but please, let's talk when you're ready. I love you. Emily. I wasn't sure how to feel. Part of me was relieved she was gone for now, I needed the space. But another part of me was angry that she still thought we could talk this out like it was some minor argument, like what she did could just be brushed aside. I spent the next couple of days alone, trying to figure out what the hell I was supposed to do next. Every time I thought about forgiving her, that image of her with someone else crept back into my head, and the anger came rushing in again. I wanted to scream, throw something, just let all this rage out, but I didn't. I just sat with it, stewing in the betrayal. A few days later, Natalie called me. At first, I wasn't sure if I should even pick up, but curiosity got the better of me. I needed more answers, and maybe she had them. Orion, hey. I know you're upset, but Emily's really struggling right now, she started. She's a mess. She knows she screwed up, but she's not giving up on you. I sighed. Natalie, I don't know if I can even forgive her. It's not just what she did, it's all the lies afterward. She had so many chances to tell me the truth and she didn't. How am I supposed to trust her again? Natalie was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I get it. But if you still love her, maybe there's a way to rebuild that trust? She's willing to do whatever it takes, Ryan. Counseling, therapy, anything. I didn't say much after that. I thanked her for calling, but my mind was still in a fog. Love wasn't the issue, it's the betrayal that I couldn't get past. Now, Emily's still at Natalie's place, and I'm here in this house alone. I keep going back and forth, part of me wonders if we could really fix things, but then the other part screams that I'm an idiot for even considering it. What do? Do I take her back and try to rebuild this marriage, or do I cut my losses and walk away? Every time I think I've made a decision, I second-guess it. I need advice, Reddit. How do you come back from something like this? Can you? After a few more days of silence, I got a text from Emily asking if we could meet up to talk. She said she wanted to explain everything, no more lies, no more half-truths. At first, I wasn't sure if I could handle it, but deep down, I knew I needed to hear what she had to say. If I was going to make any decision about our future, I needed the whole truth, even if it destroyed me. We agreed to meet at a park we used to go to when things were still good between us. It felt strange sitting there, the same place where we'd shared so many happy moments, now tainted by all the hurt and betrayal. She showed up looking wrecked, her eyes red, hair a mess, like she hadn't slept in days. But I wasn't about to feel sorry for her. Not yet. We sat down on a bench and for a minute, neither of us said anything. The silence was heavy. Finally she spoke. Orion, I know I've hurt you in ways I can't even begin to fix, she started, her voice shaky. I've been thinking a lot these past few days, and I owe you the truth. No excuses. I stayed quiet, waiting for her to continue. The truth is I messed up big time, she admitted. In Miami, I got drunk, and things with Matt, they went further than I ever meant them to. I didn't plan for it to happen. It was a stupid mistake. But I need you to know, it didn't mean anything. I never stopped loving you. I could feel my anger boiling up again. It didn't mean anything? I repeated. You cheated on me, lied about it for weeks, and it didn't mean anything? Do you even hear yourself right now? She started crying, but I wasn't about to let her tears sway me. I needed answers, not more apologies. Why did you lie to me for so long? I asked, my voice hard. You had so many chances to come clean. Why didn't you? She wiped her eyes, sniffling. I was scared, Ryan. I knew I had ruined everything and I didn't want to lose you. Every time I thought about telling you, I couldn't. I thought maybe if I didn't say anything we could move past it. But I see now that was stupid. I should have been honest from the start. I didn't know what to say. Her words were like a knife twisting in the wound, making everything worse. Part of me wanted to believe her, but the other part couldn't trust a thing that came out of her mouth anymore. I don't know if I can ever trust you again, Emily, I said, my voice cracking. You've shattered everything we had. She reached out, trying to take my hand, but I pulled away. Please, Ryan. I love you. I'll do anything to fix this. We can go to therapy, we can work through it, just don't give up on us. I'm begging you. I stood up, my mind swirling. I need time, I said, barely able to keep my voice steady. I don't know what I want right now. You've hurt me in ways I didn't even think were possible. I need space to figure out if I can even do this. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Take as much time as you need. I'll be here waiting. I walked away, not looking back, feeling more lost than ever. I had the truth now, but it didn't make things any clearer. If anything, it just made the decision even harder. It's been a few days since that talk in the park, and I'm still torn. I've been trying to focus on work, hanging out with friends, doing anything to take my mind off everything, but it's impossible. Everywhere I go, I'm thinking about her. About us. About what she did. I've been going through all the advice you guys gave me, and it's clear that most of you think I should walk away. And trust me, part of me wants to do just that. I know I deserve better. I deserve someone who wouldn't betray me like this. But it's not that simple when you're the one living it, you know? It's easy to say, just leave, but when you're in it, when you still love the person who hurt you, it's so much harder. That's the thing, I still love Emily. Even after all of this, the anger, the betrayal, the lies, I can't just switch off how I feel. And I hate that. I hate that she still has this hold on me. Part of me wishes I could just wake up and not feel anything for her anymore. But every time I think about walking away, I remember all the good times, the years we spent together, and I start wondering if I'm throwing away something that might be fixable. Emily's still at Natalie's, giving me space like I asked. She hasn't bombarded me with texts or calls, which I appreciate. But she sent one message today that really got to me. She said, I know I hurt you, and I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make it right if you'll let me. I read that text over and over, trying to figure out if I could ever let her make it right. Would counseling really help? Could I ever trust her again? Could we get back to what we had, or is that gone forever? I'm going to be real with you all, I don't know if I have it in me to forgive her. But at the same time, I don't know if I'm ready to let her go. It feels like I'm stuck in this emotional limbo, and every time I think I've made up my mind, I start doubting myself. I keep asking myself, is love enough to get through something like this? Or is trust the real foundation of a relationship, and once that's broken, there's no coming back? I thought love was enough before, but now, I'm not so sure. I guess I'm just scared of what happens next. If I walk away, what if I regret it? What if we could have fixed things? But if I stay, what if I never get past this? What if the betrayal haunts me forever? It's been a couple of weeks now, and I feel like I'm no closer to figuring this out than I was the day I found out. Emily is still staying with Natalie, and I've been trying to live my life as normally as I can, but every day feels like I'm just going through the motions. My friends have been great, checking in on me, trying to distract me with plans, but even when I'm out, my mind is still stuck on her, on what she did. Emily sent me another message yesterday. She asked if I had made any decisions yet, said she's ready to start therapy if I am. She even suggested a couples counselor she found, someone who specializes in infidelity recovery. I didn't respond right away. It just felt like too much. Like we're jumping ahead to fixing things before I even know if I want to fix them. Then today something happened that really shook me. I was driving home from work, and I passed by a restaurant Emily and I used to go to all the time. For whatever reason, it triggered this flood of memories, good ones. I remembered how happy we were, how we used to laugh together, how she was always my person, no matter what. And for a moment, I missed her so much it hurt. I pulled over, sat in my car, and just cried. It was like everything I had been holding in finally hit me all at once. I hadn't really let myself break down like that since everything went down. I guess I was trying to stay strong, or maybe I just didn't want to face how much this had wrecked me. But sitting there, I realized how deep my love for her still runs, and that's what's making this decision so damn hard. After that, I drove home and started writing this update. I'm not going to lie, I'm still lost. I know that love doesn't erase what she did, but I also know that love doesn't just disappear overnight, even after something like this. I wish it could. It would make everything so much easier. But it's not that simple. I'm supposed to meet Emily tomorrow. We're going to talk face to face for the first time since that conversation in the park. I don't know what I'm going to say, and honestly, I'm terrified of what's going to happen. Part of me wants to forgive her, to believe that we can rebuild. The other part of me keeps screaming that I'll never be able to trust her again, no matter how much I want to. I guess this is my last shot at clarity. I'm going to hear her out, really listen, and then I'll have to decide. One way or another, I need to stop living in this limbo. I can't keep hanging on to something that's already broken, but I also can't just throw away years of my life without knowing for sure if we're done. I know this probably isn't the ending you guys were hoping for, but it's where I'm at. Tomorrow could change everything, or maybe it won't change a thing. I guess I'll find out soon enough. Thanks to everyone who's been reading and giving me advice. It's helped more than you know. I'll keep you posted on what happens, but for now, all I can do is hope that whatever comes next, I can finally find some peace.